Hi, welcome to uxlivinglab. We will be starting soon. Hi everyone, welcome to my presentation. Today we are talking about how does eye tracking for UI design testing work. So everybody knows about eye tracking and how to use eye tracking for UI design. So eye tracking is basically on tracked eye movements. Eye tracking have lot of applications, various applications, not only in research and in medical field or lot of other applications like real-time analysis, medical analysis. Also, we have using eye tracking in research. How to use this eye tracking in UX design testing? That is a topic we are going to discuss today. What is eye tracking? Eye tracking is a process of measuring either the point of gaze or the motion of an eye related to head. So that's a very simple definition. It's a process of measuring either point of gaze where the one person is looking or the motion of an eye related to head. That is very simple definition of eye tracking. Everybody knows because nowadays eye tracking is not a new technology. So everybody is familiar with eye tracking. The commercial eye tracking studies function by presenting a target stimulus to a sample of consumers. So I'm talking about the research applications where eye tracking is using. In that studies, normally a stimulus will be shown to a sample of consumers, selected consumers, and we will be tracking their eye movements. Examples of target stimuli may include websites, that can be websites, television programs, sporting events, films and commercials, magazines and newspapers, packaging, anything we can display to in front of the consumer, and we can analyze their eye movements. Okay, the resulting data can be statistically analyzed. So we'll get a lot of information after eye movement. So we are recording the eye movements. Then these can be statistically analyzed and graphically rendered to provide evidence to specific visual patterns, because we can develop report based on that by examining a variety of behaviors. Researchers can determine a great deal about the effectiveness of the given medium of product. So we can analyze a lot of things based on the eye movements, because where the user is looking to and what attracts him, where he is looking more time than compared to other points in that stimuli. So like that we can analyze a lot of things from the eye tracking. Then we can provide a report. Report is basically a statistical report, nothing more than that. Only thing is that this technology can be used to develop that report. This is a recording of an eye tracking experiment or research based on eye tracking. And you can see different colors on the screen, that is violet color or green color. So this is the sport where the respondent is looking to, that called heat maps. Heat map is an aggregate from many participants. That means if you are giving the same experiment to different participants, uh, the aggregate of the many participants performing the same task. The colored areas indicates where people looked, which red area signifies the most amount of time, then followed by yellow, green, respectively. That's the way heat map is done. Actually, heat map is a report based on where the where the respondent is looking to, but it is having a total value, or you can take it as sum or average or any statistical method of the total consumers which is looking to a particular point. That is the way the heat map can be developed. So one of the important output from the eye tracking. So this is the way the eye tracking works. So we can track the eyes, then create the heat maps. Okay, when to use eye tracking in UI testing? That is the important thing we are going to discuss now. When to use eye tracking in UI testing? So in UI testing, this is the open innovation journey that starts from ideation, then going to concept, then look and feel, then prototyping, then MVP, then feedback. This is an open innovation journey. So in this journey, uh, we suggest when you reach the stage of look and feel, prototype, and MVP, this is the stages where you can use eye tracking, because an ideation and concept is mainly based on the discussions, exploring stage, so open discussions and getting the ideas from the respondent. But in look and feel stage, we have something to show in front of the respondent. That means the company is having something to show in front of the respondent. Then UI designer can test the look and feel of the design, and in the prototype it's more in the workable form, so UI designer can test the prototype of the design. Then while doing evaluating the MVP, this is more a result oriented working model. So the core product is already developed, that's also can be tested using eye tracking. So these are the main stages. These are the stages where eye tracking can be used in UI testing. There is look and feel designing, how to optimize the design of look and feel, how to test the prototype, how to evaluate minimum viable product. These are the important stages. So there are different methods of eye tracking. One is eye tracking testing in a controlled environment. So controlled environment means the lab is set for eye tracking. So that should be in a lab setup. Tracking equipment is required. It's giving more accuracy. So you can see a tracking equipment here. So there's a monitor which is tracking the eyes. This tracking equipment is focused to the eye of the respondent. Then also the webcam is there, so you can see, you can record where the eye focused. Then another method of control environment is eye tracking using mounted glasses. So you can see a glass is mounted on his eyes. This is also you can take it as a tracking equipment and controlled environment. The difference between these two is the first one is limiting the movements of the respondent. Here the respondent is free to move anywhere. So this method is good for store test or driving test, in-store applications, and advertising tests in a real environment. So a lot of applications we can use this, but it's again is a control environment because there is a equipment mounted on the respondent eyes. So a respondent feels that there is something is going on. So that's it's a control. We call it as control environment because that respondent is under the pressure of testing. Respondent can trained or guided for how to move around, how to go to, how to execute the testing, etc. That's why we call it as control environment. Then another one is natural environment. So eye tracking testing in natural environment, that respondent is free to do anything, but the software or the sensors will track eye movement. So there is nothing mounted on his head, and he's free to do anything according to his own way. There is no trained or there is no guidelines for testing. He can do it in a natural way he behaves. This is good for some applications like website testing. In driving testing also, you can use the natural environment if you set the sensors in a specific format. Otherwise, it's very difficult because driving is always in the moving environment. It's not a digital environment. That's why it's very difficult to use sensors, because sensors to be placed in a specific points, that is important. But in a website is very easy because the webcam will easily track your eyes, and it will create the heat map. So it's a completely natural environment. So how does eye tracking works? Eye tracking work by following the eye position and movement non-intrusively. A source of invisible infrared light illuminates the pupil. So what is happening? So there is an infrared light focusing to the eyes, and people will reflect that infrared lights. Thus, a reflection generates on the cornea, an infrared red camera then record that reflection, delimits the centers, and detection eye rotation, and determine the gaze direction. So after calculating all these points, the algorithm will calculate the eye direction of your look. So people center corneal reflection, PCCR, is a formal term for the main method eye tracking uses, in which the pupil and corneal reflections are optically monitored by using a infrared camera. The eye position, point of, so a lot of terms like that, and the eye movements are the calculator using advanced mathematical algorithm. After that, recorded information become raw data that eye tracking software subsequently process. So this data will be processed by the software and generate heat maps and other analysis. That's the way the eye tracking works. The other thing is 3D eye tracking. As I just mentioned earlier, so during the driving, this is actually 3D eye tracking, because driving environment is completely a moving 3D terrain. So 3D eye tracking solved the challenges of natural environment, like wide range of applications, multi-person tracking can be done, 3D line of sights, calibration is not required. So it's a little bit complex than the 2D environment, like what we are doing in the websites. But this is having a different applications. So you can see eye tracking using webcam. Okay, as I explained earlier, these green spots are the heat maps, but this is very natural and very easiest way to do eye tracking. Why tracking using webcam? Because most of the mobile phones and laptops are mounted with webcams, so we can use webcam for tracking your eye movements. So that's completely a natural environment we can provide, but it may not be accurate like exclusive cameras and exclusive equipments mounted on your head, for respondent's head for tracking. But it's a controlled environment, and it's more accurate. But webcam may not be more accurate like controlled environment, but it's natural. So that is very respondent's behavior and respondent's response will be in a natural way. That is one of the advantage of using webcam based eye tracking. So the technology is so developed now, so we can easily can convert your webcam to a eye tracking equipment and create heat maps. So I can give a demo on eye tracking using webcam. How actually it is executing. Okay, now we are entering to the calibration screen. So first thing is we have to calibrate. So we have to look into the red spot to calibrate the screen. It should be synchronized with my eye movement. So equipment and eye shapes are different for each person. That's calibration is required. If you do without calibration, accuracy will be again compromised. Then the second step is you have to tilt the eye a little bit towards that red spot in that direction. To calibrate in dark mode also. Okay, now we are entering to the testing screen. So you look into this. This is a natural way of testing because I didn't make anything on my head. I am just looking to the website. There's a regular website we are looking for. So we can browse through the website. So get started. Okay, get started. Then okay. Okay, your code scan. So where we are looking, that is, we can browse the website natural way, and uh, nothing in a controlled form. So anything you can do in the website as a natural person, we are interacting with that website. That's enough. So actually, maybe we are looking to the pricing. Okay, so these. Okay, okay, this is good. This is the way the interaction. So this should be any respondent can interact to the website in a natural way. That's all. So there is no not under the pressure of study. So this study was designed for only 60 seconds. So you can see this one. Okay, we can see the output. It's recorded output of my demonstration. You can see, as I said earlier, these green are heat maps. So when I look to that point more time, it will be changing the colors. The red is the maximum time, then green, then yellow, green, like that. So it records my eye movement. So look into that. It's very natural. So just browsing the website as a normal customer. So it will record the eye movements and it will generate the heat maps and you can analyze these heat maps. Okay, it's very interesting. So how it generates the heat maps. Good. This is the way it works in the real time environment. Okay, eye tracking using screen based. So in that demonstration, I explained how naturally we can do the eye tracking in a using a webcam and regular website. That's all. So eye tracking, actually these tracking equipments can be mounted in two different ways. That is, one is the screen-based devices. When the track, when tracking eye activity at the distance in a controlled environment, screen-based devices are typically used. The webcam is a screen-based device. The participants sit in front of the computer monitor which has a panel. Then participant is presented with multimedia stimuli to trigger, record, and analyze eye movements. Overall, screen-based eye trackers provide visual attention insights of the visual attention insights for developers and researchers by collecting high quality eye related information in the static testing test setting. So you can see in this picture, you can see there is a equipment which is placed in front of the your respondent. This will track the eyes, and he is looking to the uh, screen. So this is control environment because there is a equipment is in front of his the respondent, he's vigilant that that's there, and he's looking to his eyes are calibrated. So like that, if it's just a webcam, that's natural environment. So anyway, the screen based devices can be used in this method. That's what I'm explaining in this process. Another method is tracking using glasses and VR headsets. Wearable eye tracking devices are recommended for behavior studies and real world scenarios. So they permit movement beyond limitation imposed by stationary eye trackers, because your respondent can move around. That's the advantage of glasses and VR headsets. But head mounted eye trackers can measure eye movements from up close. Uh, but mobile trackers like eyeglasses can become unstable in certain test conditions, like very fast testing, such as sports, participating in a sports, or playing something, or running, or these type of things. Little bit unstable, but still we can use it. That's the only way to use eye tracking, because that's not a stationary activity. So we have to use head mounted glasses or VR headsets. There's a two important classification of where we are mounting the tracking equipment. Then another thing is head tracking. So eye tracking and head tracking, those are two things. It's a very simple difference. Eye tracking track eyes, head tracking track head movement. So with the both process involves monitoring positions and movements, and the former only tracks the eyes, and the head tracking will track head activity. But for a research purpose, we can combine these two. We can track head as well as track eyes. So when combining these two methods, give a very valuable data and a rich user experience in applications. So there's a head tracking equipment. So we can see in the photographs a head tracking equipment. Then next one is applications in UX research. How we can apply these methods in UX? I already said where to use these methods. That is in look and feel, prototype, or MVP. These are the stages we can use eye tracking in UX research. But how we can apply? So what are the benefits? You can see visual behavior study. We can use eye tracking, attention mechanism evaluation. That's another area we can use eye tracking in UX research. Visual stimuli respondent measurement, that's another area. Learning patterns, group behavior comparison. These are the different bifurcations of UX research where we can apply eye tracking. Think about it, you can see prototype app in the right side. I'll show something like this. Think about if you are loading these app in front of the respondent where the eye tracking environment is set. So you can see while he click on the menus, okay. So we can track the eyes when you click on the menus. This is the way we have to do the eye tracking in the prototyping, because this is a prototyping already designed based on a UI designer designed this prototype. We can use it for where he is looking and what is the meaning, how the respondent is going to operate. So actually, this is not a working product. This is a design done in UiSat. Also, you can use Figma or Adobe XD. So different platforms you can use to develop the designs in. That's normally these are the three platforms used by the UI designer to develop the designs. But from where the UI design develop the design, mainly the UI designer develop the design from intuition, so his own ideas. So whether this idea is a workable idea, or how the respondent or how the users or targeted users going to respond to this design. That is why we are testing the UI testing, UI research. UI will be tested in natural environment or real environment with the targeted users. While we test the UI design or prototype and look and feel, we can use eye tracking. Okay, that's a main area where we have to use eye tracking. So the visual behavior study or learning patterns or different categories we have to use eye tracking to gather the information from user. Of course, we are interacting through depth interviews or some other methods of research, but still we can incorporate eye tracking to that, so we can clearly analyze which got more attention for the user, or how we had to redesign the entire flow, or sometimes some components may not be get attention by the user because that's in a some corner or somewhere, so we can redesign all those designs based on the eye tracking results of heat maps. This is the way it works in UX research, because in the UX research mainly the UI designer starts designing from two aspects. One is based on intuition, another is based on customer research or user research. So very rarely UI designers use user research to start the design. So they start from their intuition or they start from their learnings. Then they prepare a design. Then company has to check this design in front of the targeted users. Then only we can a company can confirm that this design will work, or this design will work according to the objective of the product. Otherwise the design will go in one direction and user will look into some other things. So for this matching we had to do a field research. During that field research we had to use eye tracking to get more accurate data from research. So do it in a natural way. As I demonstrated, I do it in a natural way, so you'll get a very natural way of behaving to a design. Think about the design is in a workable form. It's not a app, developed app. That's a design in a workable form, or that in the workflows are designed, but there is nothing in behind that as a database, or workflows are designed and is in a working form. Like a front end can be played by the user, so he can play on the front end. At the same time we will track the eye movement of the user. So it's actually completely very near to the natural environment of using the app by the end user. So what are the benefits? Benefits of eye tracking. So advancement in fields like AI, social science, and healthcare. These are the main new areas developing using eye tracking. Then assistive technology for individuals with limited mobility. That's another method. Another area where the eye tracking is used. Use interface and experience improvements. User interface and experience improvements. That's the area where we are concentrated. User interface and experience improvements. Safety hazards. Okay, high quality market research findings. So eye tracking is heavily used in research application, UI design or market research, quantitative as well as qualitative. Remarkable insights into human mind and body. So it's a highly used in the research based purposes. So mainly in UX research and market research. What are the difficulties? Head-thrown effect. That's one of the important difficulty while we design eye tracking based research. What is that? Because when we put a person to a testing environment, he's vigilant and he know that there is some test is going on, so he will change his behavior. This effect is called Hawthorne effect. So the person change their behavior knowing that they are under observation. So how to overcome it is use only the natural environment. That's the only way to overcome that. Interpretation is little bit difficult because a higher or lower number of fixations can be state different conclusions. There's a little, and squinting, that's one of the biggest problem here. This people center corneal reflections method is not effective when the participant squints. So they will concentrate with closed eyes or half closed, not closed eyes, half closed eyes. When they concentrate on they want to read something with half closed eyes, it may not be work properly. That's a technology limitation is there. Then when you use, sometimes people will look or responder will to look into something else away from this, and it will trigger something that is unintentionally triggers some undesired actions. That's may happen, because that can be eliminated while analysis. We can remove that type of things. Then calibration is one of the limits, but still we can use without calibration, or once we calibrate, then fix as it is and continue. But use the calibration before the study to get more accurate results. But without calibration, you'll get very low quality, or the accuracy of the tracking will be compromised. That's why we recommend always calibration. But it's 1 minute job. We have to calibrate. Okay, I hope you got some idea or some clarity on how eye tracking to be used in UI research, especially when you test the prototype and look and feel how to use eye tracking in UI research. So, what are the main takeaways? Eye tracking in natural environment is advisable for UX research. As far as possible, as much as possible, you have to use it in natural environment. Invite required respondents based on study design. So you have to select environment, the different segment of the people according to statistical sampling size. You have to select them, because heat map is generated based on statistical data. So you have to select people based on statistical sampling size. Even though it's a qualitative study or a quantitative study, whatever the data you are collecting in the UX research, but you have to use the sampling size. Use image for testing look and feel, and use UI design softwares for or websites for prototype testing. That's I already explained. So image is just an image. The look and feel is it's not workflow is not designed in a look and feel. So you can show different screens. So for that you can use presentations or printouts or image files you can use. At the same time, if you are using the UI design in a prototype form, you can use Figma or Adobe or UIZ or these type of softwares you can use. Otherwise, you can use a website. You develop it in a website or Elementor or in WordPress. You can use this type of prototype testing and develop these workflows in that, along with the designs plus workflows in these any of these platforms. But immaterial of any platform you use, the it will track the research will track your eyes using the hardware, either using the webcam or specially designed devices. That's the way it works. Then after these heat map, you can use depth interviews to get more clarity. To avoid the interpretation errors, you use depth interviews. That's also required after creating heat map. These are the takeaways mainly. These are the points we had to look into and what we learned and we had to implement while using eye tracking in UX environment. Any questions? Okay, that is equipments can be used in a controlled way. In some cases, we need more accurate results. It's better to set up with the lab and invite the respondent to the lab and do all these recordings with especially calibrated high quality equipments. It depends on your objective of the study, whether you have to do it in a natural environment or controlled environment. But UX research is always better to do it in natural environment, because the controlled environment, the things will be different. People will think in a different way. As I said, they are in the under pressure of the testing, so they will behave in a different way. But look into the natural environment. Not only a 60-second study, it's a continuous study you can do. In some technologies available, you have to add a plugin to your website. It will 24 hours, it will monitor these heat maps. That technology is available. So you can use that. So there is no limit for that. Only thing is, if you are ready to use this type of technologies, you can continuously monitor it, continuously use the output from these heat maps for the betterment of your websites or betterment of the product. Of course, in physical product, there are a lot of limitations. Either you have to use sensors or you have to use cameras. The cameras to be placed in different locations, in a specific location, then focus to the eyes, and it will capture the reflections from the infrared light. Then So especially in a driving, it's a little bit difficult to configure the environment, the real time driving experience and testing using eye tracking. And also because of the speed, also there are a little bit errors. But still, in the research purpose, we are using it. But it's better than you, just asking how what was your experience and where you are looking. And think about the driver. He may not be yeah, he may not able to explain where he is looking because he is in driving. So that's a problem. When you ask your respondent if he's vigilant about where he's looking, then only he can explain. But he may not be vigilant because he's driving. He may be looking to the dashboard. He may be looking to the road or signs, road signs, pedestrians. Lot of things he's looking to. So he can't explain where he's looking now because he's driving. It's a specific environment. It's a little bit difficult. So it's better go for eye tracking, especially the glasses are better. Where he's looking for glasses are better. But camera based eye tracking have limitations because you can't mount camera everywhere because it's in driving. So better go for the glass mounted uh, eyeglasses with tracking equipment. That's better for driving. But in websites, of course, mobile apps, you use eye tracking. It's very easiest way to understand users' behavior. Even though they are saying lot of things, where he's looking to, which attracts them, where he's firstly looking to. Think about when I look into that website, maybe people first to go through the homepage, then immediately they will go to pricing. So think about it. Even though they will say that I will learn about the product and then only I will be, but still they will go to pricing. So these type of results you will get from the heat maps. People that respondent may not explain these type of things. That's what we can understand. So after analyzing this heat map, you do the depth interviews. That gives a very clear picture of targeted user, how he's going to behave with your app. So I'm limiting my explanation only to the UI design testing, but you can use anywhere you can use this type of tracking, including advertisement, including movies. Nowadays, in TV also we can use this eye tracking where they are looking while seeing it. And one of the important other application is gaming. So how to while design the gaming, and when people play games, you can track their eyes. Okay, these are the different applications. So I'm giving credits to these people where I referred this information. Eyewear, one of the beautiful hardware which is used for this. Needs and Norman Group, then Wikipedia, Grace Recorder. These are the references I used to do this presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and you can expect similar presentation every week from me. If you like this presentation, you can share this presentation to your colleagues, or you can comment. If you have further questions, you can ask to me in the comment box. Thank you.